to the Teacher Professional Development session for SciFest 2021. So it's been an amazing 2 weeks of fabulous science programming, and we really wanted to sort of finish off our main events with looking at opportunities and ways to embed science into your lessons. So whether or not you're a science teacher or would like just to have more science engagement with your students, we are here to give you some ideas and some help along that journey. So as I said, my name's Karen from Australian Environmental Education and also Virtual Excursions Australia. So I'll be giving some insight into some of the ways that I encourage students to look at environmental science and education and a lot of earth science areas as well. With everyone being in lockdown as well, especially if we've got teachers here from Victoria and New South Wales, we'll also have some conversations around different opportunities to be able to engage your students while they're at home. So we'll have a little bit of a crossover between the two. And I'll just introduce you to all of the other presenters at the moment as well. And please put any questions that you've got in the Q&A section of the webinar. So as a webinar format, you'll see us, you won't be able to see each other. We don't have the chat enabled, so it'll just be through Q&A, but please feel free to pop any questions in. We'll also be asking each other questions as we go through. Now, I'm just going to head across to the next person I can see on my screen, which is Steve from Street Science. So if you'd just like to introduce yourself and then pass on to the next person.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Karen, and good afternoon to everyone who's in here today. My name's Steve Liddel, the founder of Street Science. We're based up here in Brisbane. And I've got a team of scientists and teachers. We travel all around the country, just trying to fire kids up and get them excited about learning science. So most of the time that's face-to-face programs, doing science shows and following up with hands-on workshops for your students. I might throw it over to Bridget.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, so my name's Bridget. I work at ANSTO, which is the Australian Nuclear Science and Technology Organisation. We operate the only nuclear reactor in Australia, but we're also the home of science at the atomic scale, so at very, very small scales. So we run a whole lot of face-to-face tours of our campus where students and teachers can come and see our amazing infrastructure, our particle accelerators, our reactor, some of our microscopes, things like that. But we run a whole lot of online lessons as well, and we have heaps and heaps of free resources on our website and competitions for both primary and secondary schools. So I might pass over to Danielle.
Oh, Danielle, sorry, you've just gone really quiet. We can just hear you, but could turn your microphone volume up.
Okay, how is that now? Is that
That's
better?
great. Yep, that's
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Hi everyone, just again, I'm Danielle Leggo. I'm the Manager of Education at Sydney Olympic Park, and we deliver school excursion programs and school events throughout the whole of the Sydney Olympic Park suburb, and that consists of about 400 hectares of parklands and about 250 hectares of our built environment. And we mainly focus on students from K to 12 in science and geography, and obviously our cross-curricular priorities as well, cultural programs, and a little bit of history integrated into that as well. And our Youth Eco Summit event that we hold every year is also on site with about 3,000 students taking part in a whole range of wonderful interactive sustainable workshops held by many people whose faces are here today with us. Yes, so we have about 20,000 students attending the park every year, and we can't wait to see some of you out here when you can get back on site next year. So that's it from us. Thank you. I'll hand over to you, Ben.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, hi everyone. Really love doing these sort of things. My name's Ben. I'm from a place called Fizzics Education. So for the past 17 years, we've been working with hundreds of schools all over the place, doing lots of face-to-face programs as well as online programs. We work with a lot of collaborative events. So Danielle mentioned from Sydney Olympic Park, there's a few people that work with her. Yes, we work with Sydney Olympic Park as well as quite a lot of sites, from GWS Giants to the NRMA, doing collaborative science outreach. And I'm really excited, actually. Next week, we're going to the International Space Station with another project with Magnitude, which is really, really cool, with some schools around the globe. And that's a little side note. And yes, like everyone on this panel, there's a lot of resources on our website too. So I thought, you know what, if you look down the bottom, you'll see like a little thing turn up. If I put this here, there is a link. There is a couple of hundred free experiments on our website, a bit over 100 podcasts, and trivia and several hundred teaching articles as well, which will be able to help you out teaching science. But certainly would love to do a bit of science this afternoon too, rather than just talk to you about it, which is always better. I might hand it over to Karen.
Excellent, thank you. And I just want to also reach out to Jackie, who's from Fizzics Education and who does a lot of the tech support for Virtual Excursions Australia when we've been doing SciFest. So Jackie and I have been very busy the last 2 weeks.
Hi, everyone. I'm just a voice in the sky today, as I normally am. Producing a lot of the online content that you may see being on offer this week and last week. So if you have particular questions about the more techie stuff using online platforms, I'll try my best to help out. Back to you, Karen.
Excellent, thanks, Jackie. It's been excellent having you with us over this Virtual Excursions SciFest 2021, because it's been absolutely huge, with a lot of teachers being aware that, you know, we started our planning for Science Week. We had pretty much all students in school, other than lots of homeschool people continuing with their journey at home. And over the last few weeks, things have changed dramatically. So going from having classes in schools and being able to look at how we can help you with extra programs for Science Week, to having every student learning from home across 2 states. So it has been really challenging for all of you. And so, yeah, thank you very much for participating in SciFest and joining us for this afternoon session as well. So I'm going to put my Australian environmental education hat on as well and think about some of the ways that I like to embed science into the programs that I deliver. So I do both on-site and digital programs, like most of us here. And of course, you know, the last 18 months has really showed us the importance of having high quality digital programs available, both as sort of you know, as students go, online resources that teachers can pick up whenever they need to, but also live interactive sessions when students still get an opportunity to ask those questions. We've been able to see across the 2 weeks that engagement with students' questions changes the direction of where the learning can go. And I like to consider myself a little bit of a storyteller. So the sessions that I find most engaging with students are about when I'm telling a story. So that's one way that you can really look at how you can engage your students within science within the classroom, but also when they're learning from home, is about your stories and your experiences. So, you know, I've got a couple of things on the table here that I'll quickly show you. And these are things that I've just collected either, well, I'll show you what they are before I tell you where I got them from. So here we go. So this is just an ammonite fossil here. I shouldn't say just, it's, you know, pretty impressive. One of my favorites. And this is something that I didn't collect. This is something that I purchased, but it's a great starting point to begin the story, talking about evolution, how fossils are formed, extinction, geological timescales, paleontology, dinosaurs. You know, you can go on for a long time once you've got a great piece to begin the story. And if this is something that you could bring into the classroom, students can touch and feel it as well. Knowing that they can touch something that's older than 65 million years is amazing opportunity for students. Something else that just, I might need to zoom out, is a little bit big. Is a weedy sea dragon that has been washed up on the shore after a big storm and that I collected when I was beach combing. So something as simple as this, one, nice close up, not sure what it is, getting kids to start guessing. I do a lot of things with clues. What do they think certain things are? Then being able to link into talking about marine environments, talking about collecting and the importance of collections. I also worked at a museum for 20 years or so. So the idea of what a collection is something that kids absolutely They all have a collection of whether it's a natural product or a particular type of toy or a particular something. Kids collect. It's a really big human instinct as children growing up. So being able to even talk about the idea of collection, then talking about classification, and then, you know, you can talk about lots of other sciences. So for me, one of the key ways that I like to sort of get students to think about it is telling those stories. The weedy sea dragon that I collected, there's about a dozen stories I could go off on a tangent and tell you linked to that one object. So that object-based learning and being able to use one trigger, whether it's something that you show as a digital capacity or something that you physically can take into the students, can be a really great way to start that story, start the journey, and then start getting the kids to think about what they could collect as well. I'll throw over to someone else in a moment, but we'll come back to the idea of being able to go out and getting the kids to do outdoor activities as well. I know it links really well to what Danielle from Sydney Olympic Park will be talking about too. So I might throw over to her to talk about some of the outdoor learning opportunities there are as well that can then link to that object-based learning as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Karen. I'm just going to share my screen here. And hoping you can now all see that. Is that all fine, Jackie? Great. So, so Sydney Olympic Park, right in the centre of Sydney. As I said before, we deliver school excursions in science and geography. And as we do that, we always make sure that we are respectful of country. We are always making sure that we do an acknowledgement of country and that our programs have Wongal country integrated throughout them. So what we do at the park is based around field work. It's based around inquiry-based learning. And some of the things that I like to do, get teachers to do before they actually come out to the park, is to provide their students with an understanding of some of the simple field work equipment that they might be using on the day. So it's a really simple exercise that you can do with your students. It doesn't matter if they're in year 3 or in year 9. It doesn't matter whether or not they are an advanced class or not. You can change up what we call our fieldwork treasure hunt depending on the student's ability. So around your school, you can use a whole range of different locations, and at each location, you can actually add in a different piece of fieldwork equipment. It's just an interesting and fun way to get the kids out and about and getting them used to using the equipment without having to think about anything else except for just the use of it. How do you appropriately follow instructions in order to use a piece of fieldwork equipment? That can be, as you can see on the screen there, anything from a sediment temperature, a sediment moisture meter, or a simple thermometer for air temperature. You can see there, I've placed them in 2 different locations. And of course, it's not the proper location for an air temperature, but I couldn't hang it off the tree at the time. So we don't sit it on the ground like that. So I have done one lot of experiments that the students can do in a shaded area in your school. And then you can also use the same equipment in another location in your treasure hunt that might be out in the middle of the playground in the sun. And as the students use the equipment and collect the data, they can then compare the 2 locations. Across the school, obviously, these are only 3 very simple pieces of fieldwork equipment. You can also go into atmosphere, and in another location, they might want to use a light meter, which is on the right, the orange one on the right. And that shows us how much light is reflecting off the surface of the ground. they might be using a wind meter in another area. Again, they can use that with the Beaufort scale, which shows you the wind speed and then what we consider that wind speed to be. So is it a light breeze? Is it a strong gale, and so on? And then on the far left of the screen, we've got our cloud identification chart. Kids point it up to the air. They look through the window and see if they can match the clouds for the day, and then they know what sort of clouds are there. We've also got percentage cloud cover. That can be in a different location of your treasure hunt. So there's a whole range of different things you can do across your school that can get the kids just starting to use some simple fieldwork equipment that take them right through from like year 3 all the way through to year 12. And of course, our wonderful quadrats. Count something in the quadrats or throw something into the quadrats. So there I have, on the right-hand side, I have a turtle shell. I have an oyster shell. I have some plastic frogs. I have a spoonbill beak, a feather, and a dragonfly. So it might be look inside the quadrat and determine what sort of environment this quadrat might be depicting. So is it wet or is it a dry environment? So there's a whole range of different ways that you, as teachers, you're incredibly creative and inventive, a whole different range of ways that you can use different field work. And again, this is the leaf shake. Really simple thing to do. Grab a white drop sheet, stick it under a tree somewhere in your playground. It could be a small shrub, could be a larger tree. Give it a shake, get the kids to give it a gentle shake, see what falls out, and then they can investigate it. All of these little pieces of field instruments, they are in what I call our school field kit. That document will be sent to Karen, and Karen will send that out to all of you so that you can see what can be purchased very easily to create your own school field kit to use across all ages, across all year groups for your school. So yeah, so that's what we do, and hopefully you can enjoy creating your own field kit and coming up with some creative ways for your students also to be able to learn a little bit more about fieldwork and about fieldwork using fieldwork equipment. So yeah, thanks for that.
Excellent, thanks Danielle. And just while we're on that idea of fieldwork, I'll just show you the last thing that I've got here that's really echoing the idea of being able to go out and do simple explorations of things that you can do in the school grounds as well, whilst we can't get back onto excursion sites, but also that the students can do at home. So if I just quickly show this one here, it's going to zoom out again. I've had something very close. So what I've got here is actually just a really small toilet roll insect hotel. So kids can easily collect either long paper towel rolls or toilet rolls, and by collecting some things in their backyard or local park, they can create these themselves, and they can also make bigger ones as well, or actually make a combination and string these together to create a bigger environment. So different seed pods, curled bark, paper bark, the things that kids love collecting anyway, is a great way to sort of begin that idea of that backyard exploration as well. So I just wanted to follow that on from what Danielle was talking about, because I thought that linked very well. And again, in our follow-up information, we will send you ideas about how to do all of these kinds of things. So remember, pop any of the questions that you have in the Q&A, and while they're coming through, we'll throw over to Steve from Street Science, and I know that he's got some experiments ready to show us as well.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. So just a little bit of background on me. I'm an environmental scientist about 20 years ago, and then I became a high school maths and science teacher. And I spent my last couple of years teaching in schools, looking at behaviour management and looking at the engagement and disengagement of kids in grade 9 in particular. And what we found was a lot of the disengagement came down to pedagogy, so the way we as teachers teach content to kids. And I stepped out of the classroom about 10 years ago to set up my business, Street Science, and we work with about 100,000 kids each year at the moment, up and down the east coast of Australia, face to face. And at the root of everything we do is linking visual demonstrations to the kids' lives. So building a bit of context, because what we found is if we can link content to something that the kids actually can relate to, it's amazing how engaged they get. If we're preaching about stuff that they don't care about, they're just switching off, like we do in our staff meetings. We'll go and check our emails. It's the last thing we want to do, but we'll go and do it because we're not engaged in what our boss or teacher is actually preaching at us. So I want to show you guys just one demonstration that I use, because a demonstration is a really, really powerful thing. You know, I've built a whole business on using demonstrations, but teachers in the classroom, if you guys can use a demonstration to introduce a topic, it's amazing, one demo, how many different things you can actually teach with it. So I'll make a cloud in a bottle for you guys and I'll walk you through it. And then I'll talk to you guys about our classroom kits, which is our, I suppose, our innovation, the biggest innovation that we've made in our business in the last 5 years or so. And it's just gone to market a couple of months ago. So your shopping list. Now, I know a lot of you guys are locked down around the country, so you can't just scoot down to Supercheap. But the beauty of online shopping, you guys are going to be able to get your hands on everything that I rattle off, and it'll be delivered to your home probably in a couple of days' time, I reckon. So a cloud in a bottle. I didn't have this demo up my sleeve when I was teaching in high school, and I wish I did. So I'll teach it to you guys. Plastic bottle. Hopefully this isn't one that you were going to do later, Benno. Plastic bottle. I use a Gatorade or a Maximus bottle, so it holds about 1 litre. It's nice and strong, and it's decent size. The key as well is it's got a nice big mouth on it. I need to get my hands on a pump of some description. I just use a foot pump. Dig one up out of the garage. The secret parts are sitting on the end of my foot pump here. So I've got, if I undo it, I've got a stopper. So just jump online and buy a couple of stoppers, a couple of different sizes. The stopper here fits nicely into the top of my bottle. You can use a cork if you go online around, but stoppers, just jump online and grab them. Running through the middle of that stopper is a tyre valve. So go to Supercheap Auto. That's the valve that we'd use in a tyre to pump it up. I've drilled a hole through the middle, so my valve's going straight through that stopper, and I go and connect it to my foot pump. And then I need one more ingredient, and it's a little bit of alcohol. Now, this works with water. So a little squirt of water into your bottle will make a cloud, just not as thick. A little bit of gin or vodka, if you're working from home, is going to work a treat as well. But I keep going up and I use metho, because the higher the alcohol content, the quicker this stuff's going to evaporate. So I grab a little bit of metho, probably 5 mils, squirt it in the base of that bottle. Then what I'm going to do is stick the lid on. I'm going to pump it up, and I'm going to increase the pressure inside that bottle. So already talking about pressure, right? Talking about evaporation, and we're going to talk about weather patterns as well. So let me stick the lid on the top, and I'm going to pump it up, just simply pushing air into my bottle. It gets a little bit hard, so let me pump it up. I feel the pressure building on my hand as I do it. Now, I've got a white shirt on, so it's not so helpful. So I'll try and get the background in there a little bit. See how there's no cloud in there? It just looks like an empty bottle. So as I increase the pressure, we increase the temperature internally in that little system. As the temperature increases, that metho, which was a liquid, starts to evaporate and turn into a gas. So those little particles are being pushed all around the place. When I take the lid off, all of a sudden the pressure will drop really quickly. Watch this. Let me hold it off to the side. 3, 2, 1. And as soon as that pressure drops, all of a sudden those particles come racing together and they form that cloud. So I've now got a low pressure system causing clouds in my bottle. If I go and increase the pressure, I can get rid of those clouds again. Ready? 1 pump, 2 pumps, and the cloud disappears. And I can do this again and again. High pressure, no clouds. Low pressure, lots of clouds. So we can then relate this to the weather at 6:30 at night time. Before I learnt this demo, I had no idea what the little H buzzing around the map was and the little L, but now it makes sense. So I can show the kids and I can relate it to something that I'm teaching them about. High pressure, no clouds in the sky. low pressure, unstable air and clouds in the sky. So then you link it to what's going on outside. You get the kids to look out the window. Hey, there's lots of clouds around. It looks like it's going to rain tomorrow. Then you get them to go look at the weather. And sure enough, they're going to see that little L cruising along the east coast of Australia. So teaching them weather, do something that makes sense to them, that they can see happen, and then they can relate to whatever it is you're trying to teach. So cloud in a bottle. Hopefully you're writing down your shopping list. A pump, a stopper, a tyre valve, a 1 litre bottle. I use the Maximus or Gatorade, and just a little bit of metho. Water will work. Your clouds just aren't as thick. Alrighty, so demos, super, super powerful to cut through to kids, and they just love seeing stuff happen in front of them. In March 2020, my business was, 7, 8 years into existence. We were working with just over 100,000 kids, cruising up and down the east coast of Australia. 2019, I went over to America for World Science Festival, did a tour of New Zealand and China. We're cruising all over the place. COVID hit, and we found this big risk in our business that we'd never even considered. All of our programs were face-to-face. And as soon as COVID hit, we couldn't get out there into schools. Schools were closed. We couldn't get on the festival circuit because all the festivals were getting cancelled. And just like everyone else in our panel today, had to come up with some really cool ways to provide digital content to the consumer, to teachers, to parents at home, and sort of everyone else in between. So I scratched my head, and we designed this new product called our Classroom Kits. Now, you probably haven't heard of these because we only went to market about a month or two ago. What we've done, I haven't seen anyone else in Australia do this. I think this is an Australian first, could be a world first. We'll find out soon. Our business model is we go into a school, we do a big show, teach the Australian curriculum with some fireballs and some liquid nitrogen clouds and all the flashy stuff, whilst teaching them and getting the kids excited. The students then go off to morning tea, and they come back in smaller groups. And the power of what we do, we set up a workshop where kids put on safety glasses, they mix chemicals, they build rockets, they do the science themselves. What these kits are is everything that a teacher would need to run a street science workshop. So sometimes when you buy stuff online, you get these science kits from, your MTA and your Haynes and those big distributors, but you've got to run around and grab half the stuff yourself. So what we've done, we've put absolutely everything into these kits. I've got one here. Everything that you guys would need to actually physically run what we would normally come out to you guys and actually do. But the kicker is there's enough in here for 35 kids to participate. So what we want, a teacher buys one of these, they take it home and they play with it themselves. They build a rocket with their own kids, or they put their little circuits together, or they make slime and polymers with their kids at home, build up our confidence with the material, and then we go back into the classroom and we've still got 30 odd units of everything to run the activities. Now, what makes this different to a normal kit is you get access to a digital portal. So my scientists have stood here in this studio and they've recorded short, sharp videos about the science content that we're trying to teach, but also walking your students through exactly what they need to do. So you as the teacher, when you've got your kids back there face-to-face in your classroom, with one of these and a smartboard or a projector nearby, you've got everything you need to simply facilitate the learning experience. And you can run it for an hour, or you can run it over multiple days, multiple weeks if you want to. You can do it at your pace and you can do it in your space. You don't have to be kicking HPE out of the hall. You can do it in your classroom, and everything is in there. Super powerful. And we're really, really excited to get that out to you guys. So that was our big innovation coming out of COVID. And what it means is all of a sudden, rather than just servicing Southeast Queensland like we do most of the time, we can now work with teachers all over the country. So that's something that seems pretty exciting to you. Yeah, reach out. I've got some catalogues. I can send them out to you. So just send me some details later and I'll get some info to you. So thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Steve. And I will, I've got your website in the link to send to teachers afterwards, but I'll put a specific direction to the classroom kits, because
Beautiful.
anything that we can do to make it easier for you at home, teaching with your students, and when you're back in the classroom, it's all a win for you guys. So that's excellent. I really just want to echo that idea of sort of the observations, demonstrations, hands-on, that's where the real learning can happen. So yeah, excellent. And I'll just hand over to Bridget.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. I just want to second what Steve mentioned about engaging particularly high schools, because that's certainly our main audience. We deal with primary schools as well, but as a high school teacher, I do really get that. I can see that disengagement in year 9. I think it frustrates all teachers. They go from these lovely engaged kids in year 5 and year 6, just goes down, jumps off a cliff. One thing that we find is really useful where I work, because we are, a functioning, really state-of-the-art science organisation with real scientists, with real science equipment, is relating what the students are doing in class and the theory, the boring theory that they need to learn about, with what scientists do every day and what kids might be hearing in the news as well. So a couple of things that we do and we offer are, free live interviews with the scientist. So we call them Meet an Expert. I know a few other organisations do these as well. And it's just an opportunity for your class, year 7 to 12, to look up one of our scientists, have a bit of a read about what they do. They might be interested in a particular research topic, so we can find a scientist who really focuses on environmental science, or it might be electrical engineering or something like that, and we can put them in touch with you. And it's just a very informal Q&A session, and it's led by the kids. I think that there's always the risk of online and virtual sessions of being a very much we're going to teach you and you will watch. And I know that everyone on this call works extremely hard to avoid that and has a whole lot of tips and tricks to do that. But certainly if it's something that the kids can lead and that they can be asking the questions and directing where that conversation goes, they get a lot out of it. Another thing that we really pride ourselves on at ANSTO is, like I mentioned, linking real world science with what the kids are seeing in their everyday lives. So a good example of that was at the end of 2019, early 2020, everyone was breathing really dirty, dusty, smoky air, especially along the east coast of Australia. So one of the big research projects that we do here at ANSTO is monitoring air pollution all across the Asia Pacific. And we have specialist scientists who have been doing that for over 30 years. So we've put together free data sets, and I'll just pop the
You're just on mute now, Bridget. I think when you sent something, you accidentally muted.
There you go. Sorry about that. Thank you, Karen. So these data sets were put together. They've got, free associated workbooks with them. They have all the instructions for how to tackle some real life data and how to link it into your lessons. And it's, linking what real scientists do to things that kids can relate to. So we've found that really useful as well. And, as an organisation that is nuclear, and I won't hesitate to say it, part of our job as the education team at ANSTO is to improve people's understanding of something which is a pretty misunderstood topic, something which has a lot, brings about a lot of fear, a lot of sometimes conspiracy theories, a lot of hesitancy to do with nuclear science. So we're always relating what we do to what's in the media. I think a big thing about science, particularly for secondary school students, is not just learning about the theory of science, but learning about how it impacts society, and sometimes how society impacts science as well. So we're always talking about, you know, how science might be portrayed in the media. For example, we have scientists who are working on climate change, and you know, the vast majority of scientists are putting out this information every year, but why aren't our politicians listening? So we talk a little bit about that and how that interrelationship between politics and science and society and economics even plays out. So I think that opportunity to tie science in with different subjects across the curriculum, even in secondary school where it is all split apart, really does gel for secondary school students. So I might pass back to you, Karen. I'm happy to jump in when things pop up, which might be relevant to me as well, but I'll pass back over to you.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, I think it is continually a challenge trying to break down misinformation as well, and that's a really big challenge for us all as science communicators, but also for you all as teachers. You know, when students come through to you and have a denying question, and it's, you know, it can be really difficult to know where to get those resources to be able to go back and have that dialogue and have that conversation about where the science is actually leading. So yeah, all of us here are absolutely people that can help you if you come across that as well. And I think, yeah, certainly Bridget at ANSTO would be having quite a lot of different areas than most of us have to deal with, but all very important to sort of debunk and show the truth and the real science behind it. Excellent. Well, we'll go over to Ben from Physics Education to discuss some of the things that he's got up his sleeve or on his desk, probably.
Up my sleeve. I suppose so. You could do that, couldn't you? Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Ben. Yes, I do have some science stuff to do. And like everyone has mentioned, should be hands-on and hopefully related to reality, like related to kids' lives and your lives. Otherwise, what's the point? So what I do have a couple of things here on my desk. But sometimes when we do the experiments, like the fancy stuff, it does make you quite removed from, you know, what happens day to day. So I thought I'd just quickly show you a quick experiment. You can walk away, very much so. And what I have to do, we'll have to quickly just change to another view, I must say. So I'm going to quickly over here and go down this way. All right, hello, over here. Done. Right, so I actually have another above view camera, but I actually noticed, this is a good thing for you to know, just because when we just set this thing up before, you'll notice that the other one's strobing a little bit, and that's a hertz rate. Oh, it's not doing it now. Funny. All right, we'll do it this way. All right, so what we have is a plate. This is a very classic one. A lot of kids know this experiment, I must say. Get yourself some full cream milk. This is really good for home learning right now, let's be honest. And if we're going to do variable testing, which is really part of science, is you could try full cream milk, light milk, and all the other 30 other different versions of milk that you can buy. But what you can do, and I reckon there's guaranteed there's going to be people here watching this webinar going, you know what, I've seen this, that's good. What you can do is get a small amount of food coloring. I'm going to put a small amount here. You can see that my table isn't completely level because it's dripping down that one way. I'm going to get another one. I mean, you imagine kids using liquids near their devices during a home learning situation. So what I do recommend is tell them nicely, but instruct them to do this in another table away from the electrical device. Otherwise, they only get to do this experiment once. You don't want to wreck it. You don't want to wreck your stuff. But here's the deal. You'll notice the food coloring has not spread completely out at all. Of course, we're dealing with full cream milk, and full cream milk has fat in it, and fat is not the same as water-based food coloring. The food coloring will only follow where the water is in the milk. So what we're going to do is we're going to break up the fat, but there's also a hidden thing that's going to happen. We're going to get some detergent. Any old detergent will do. And it's pretty quick. So 1, 2, 3, dropping down, and off we go. Now the kids go, wow. And if they do this at home, they'll often walk away after they've seen this part, but they need to have some patience, because if they keep an eye on it, they'll start to see colors starting to do their thing, starting to mix and move around, which really shows there are two things actually happening. Now, firstly, if you get your hands like this, grab them. Okay, do it with me. Go with me. Get your hands, grab them, pull them sideways as hard as you can, hard as you can, hard as you can. Eventually, you're going to lose them, and off you go. At the top of the surface of your liquid, there are forces between the molecules. There is what's called tension. and that tension is pulling that way and that way and that way and that way. It's pulling quite tight. Now the detergent ripped that surface tension. That surface tension, when it ripped outwards, it sent our, well, kids think of it as a skin, but the surface of the liquid got shot outwards and the colors went out with it. Now the colors are starting to mix a little bit, though I must say that taking this time a little bit, my suspicion is I've made my milk a little bit deep. But the colors will start to swirl as the food coloring follows where the water moves in the milk as the fat breaks up in the milk. And if they watch this for a while, the whole thing ends up going like a gray color once all the colors are all mixed up. Fairly straightforward to do and really, really easy to do. And in fact, science doesn't have to be all these fancy bits, but I must say, part of the role is to make sure that we can we'll do experiments that can make them go wow a little bit too, and that's our role at Fizzics. And we have done with a couple of million kids over the last few years, and it's I love what they got to say. And I was just actually thinking what Bridget had to say about the climate change work. We have worked with ANSTO before, the holiday programs, and one way that we can sort of look at climate change, we can certainly do the work that Steve was doing with making clouds in the bottle. That's a fantastic demo, man. Love it. What you can do is, if you have the opportunity to connect with someone like us doing an online program, or eventually face-to-face, because one day we get to do that again, is that we get to use the fancy stuff. So I'm going to use some liquid nitrogen to make a cloud, and we had a little bit of discussion about it. So I'm just going to get that bowl, and I'm going to get some warm water. And this is the cheap way of making a cloud like real fast. And I'll grab some liquid nitrogen. Now, a misconception often is that you should wear gloves all the time with liquid nitrogen. A danger with gloves with liquid nitrogen is that it can go inside your glove, then it's against your skin, then you burn yourself, which is a problem. Now, think about this. Whilst it looks ooh and ah, and certainly is, there's a couple of things that kids can observe. The fog rises a little bit, and then it drops down. And you ask the kids, well, why does it do that? I mean, what they could even do is think of a kettle. If you open a kettle up, you see, not with my contrast, but steam rising out of my kettle, but it's not doing there, it's dropping down. Cold gases clump together, get heavy, drop down. Hot gases spread out, are lighter than air, go up. If the kids think of the old movie Happy Feet, so I'll just do this again, you see this katabatic winds, these winds dropping down the side of glaciers, dropping down because they're very cold. In fact, our ecology around the Snowy Mountains area actually is caused by cold air drainage going down the side of Mount Kosciuszko, going down through the Alpine slopes. Now, what's this got to do with, how can we use this to talk about climate change? Well, what we can do is, what if we add a little bit of detergent in there? I mean, we've got this gas, it's expanding, it's getting like 600 times bigger, right? So it's getting big. If we put bubble mix in there, some of the bubbles are going to trap the gas. And this gets very close, incredibly close, to what Bridget and the team do at ANSTO when it comes to looking at the gases inside glaciers. So I'll show you what I mean. I've got here a measuring cylinder, and I'm going to grab my detergent I used before. Karen, I just thought I was just going to mess around for a little bit. Is that okay? That's all right. She's like nodding or slightly bemused, smiling. I'm going to put my detergent around.
Go for it.
And we'll add some liquid nitrogen there. It will get 600 times bigger as it turns from a liquid to a gas. Whoosh, up we go. It foams up, kids go ooh and ah, but there's more to it than that. What if we did the same experiment in a container I can actually sort of reach in with? So I'm going to pour this out into here. Up it goes a little bit. Might make it a little bit more cold, hey? If you're wondering, it's minus 196 degrees Celsius, kind of cold. Now, what we can do, because hey, we're in a studio right now, is what if I get nice and close on the view? No, not that one. I press 5. I want preset 5, not preset 7. Around we go. What if I get my tongs, get out our frozen bubbles? Oh, I've got a heap here, Karen. There's a heap. It's going to fall off my tongs. There they are. Now, what's this got to do with climate change? If you go to Greenland, Russia, Antarctica, anywhere that's crazy cold and you have a lot of ice, that ice will build up over time. And each time ice forms, you get trapped air inside. And people like the scientists from ANSTO actually look at the air inside and they do a bit of work on, well, the air inside. What's it made out of? And more importantly, what was the heat like at that time? And you get to look at the ratios of the gas inside the bubbles in your glaciers, as well as what the heat was like at the time with a little bit of fancy wet radioisotopes. What's the point of all this? Our job, like many science outreach people, is to do the science stuff, but it still also needs to be hands-on as well. So it's not just about doing the fancy stuff, it's about doing the stuff that kids can relate to as well. So I really recommend, look down in the chat. That link there is free to use. There's a couple hundred free experiments there. Go nuts with it. If you want to connect with online things, which you've certainly been doing for many years, if we go copy, I'm going to throw this into here. I'll just go right click and paste. That'll do. I'll have my little thing here, press return. Done. Oh, do the thing. There we go. Okay, there's our video conference programs. There's about 30 of them. We've been doing that for, sometimes we do it like 4 a.m. in the morning, not kidding, it's nuts. If you want to do like outreach, in 2022, when we finally get to do that type of thing, that link there will give you all the information you could possibly need around the 45, 46 programs that we run right across East Australia. And there's nothing in the Q&A, so either it was good fun or it was like, oh, we're done for the afternoon. But either way, thank you so much for having me hang out, and hope to catch you another time.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ben. And yeah, please, teachers, if you do have anything to add in questions, this is your chance. We've got a that was awesome. So lots of variety of the different science that you can engage into your classroom. We are happy to hang around for a little bit longer if you've got any questions. Otherwise, just want to wrap up with echoing what all of the presenters have said. It's about making science engaging. It's about making it relevant to what your students are either looking at, and it's about making it personal. That I think all of us here, the reason why we are science communicators is we love science and we love sharing our enthusiasm and passion about the natural world and scientific concepts with pretty much anyone who stands still long enough, pretty much. So it is about being able to echo that as well. So find the thing that you absolutely love and see how you can use that to, to tell a story or to link it back to an experiment, and to get your kids to think about science and how it relates to them in their everyday life. Does anyone else want to add anything at this point?
I hope you're doing well, regardless of what we get up to. I mean, you guys, we know, are being slammed. No, I mean, let's be honest, there's not a single educator on the planet that isn't time poor, and now we know it's worse. So we really hope you're doing okay. And definitely reach out, if you, not just to my team, but to anyone on this panel or anyone in the education community. Do recommend, especially talking about science, there are a lot of science educators around the globe that hang out on Twitter chats. Definitely look out for them. Aussie Ed is a great team that you might want to reach out to, as is Primary STEM Chat and a few others.
Excellent. I think that's really important to mention as well, Ben, that it is just really difficult across the board, and we are pretty much all here to help you, to add extra resources to make it easier for you. And essentially that's one of the reasons why Virtual Excursions Australia, with the support of the AMP Tomorrow Fund, was able to put on SciFest. And I think we've had I think almost up to sort of 700 unique registrations and over 70,000 students register across the 2 days of programming, 2 weeks of programming. So, we've the amount of thank yous that we've had of just being able to have something different for your students. So yeah, we're all here to help provide something different for you and your students to make teaching science more engaging at the moment, and also to help you think about what happens when you are back in the classroom and beyond.
Can I just mirror what Ben was saying about reaching out as well? Obviously on the panel today, we're all very open to conversations with you guys, but reach out to businesses. It's amazing how much time different people have got up their sleeve at the moment. And, when we started making these classroom kits, the reason we did it was teachers were reaching out to us saying, hey, Steve, we want to work with you, but we just can't at the moment. What can you do? And we got into conversations with teachers, and we designed something that they've asked for. So it's really interesting times. Hey, businesses are innovating and we're doing things really differently. So if there's things out there that you as teachers would love to see, start a conversation, open the dialogue.
Yeah, I agree, Steve and Ben. I think in times like this when everyone is so some people have more time, but gosh, most of us feel pretty time poor. There's no point in reinventing the wheel. you know, organisation like Fizzics, like Street Science, you know, like Karen's organisation, Sydney Olympic Park, you know, it's our job to make these resources. We're often putting them online for free or at a very minimal fee. One thing I will just pop into the chat here too is we've been running an online STEAM club for people who are locked down, kids who are locked down at home for ages 8 to 13. And so these are just, it's almost like a fully formed class that you can run at home with equipment running at home. If you're a teacher, you can just scroll down to the bottom of this page and basically ask for these lesson plans and we will give them to you. So don't hesitate to contact us. Yes, Ben?
I just realized I probably should let people know. So this is only brand new, so it's not on the top of mind as much. We're going to be doing a virtual astronaut program because we're actually thinking about the isolation. Your house is analogous to a space station. You're stuck in it. And so because of this, we're working with the US National Labs and a group called Magnitude on a program called ExoLab. And very soon we're putting out, like at the end of this week, hopefully, some free, basically free content. So for a month, they get to do like train like an astronaut and all that type of stuff. This is we're building it as we speak. The meeting only happened this morning. So I'm going to throw a couple of links there that have no content to the virtual astronaut thing because I only got created that 6 hours ago. So I'll throw that into the chat too. That might be of use.
Thanks, Ben. We've got someone saying they'd love something like Mystery Science with Australian content. So there are lots of different opportunities. So yeah, pop them through. There we go. Steve's written it down. He likes the idea. And yeah, trying to have things across the board for both primary and high school as well. So all of us here have content to be able to suit a variety of students' needs. And a lot of the things that we've got, we can help you adapt. If it might have been designed for high school, but we can give you tips and tricks about how to make it engaging for stage 2 and stage 3. Or we've got things that, you know, might start out as a stage 2 program, but by adding a few, you know, complexities or the additional research questions, you know, you can do it for, you know, stage 4 and 5, no problems. I will be including all of these links in the follow-up email as well. So if you haven't gathered them from the chat, that's no problems. I'll be sending them through. And for all of the presenters, make sure you email me the extra things as well. Ben, I don't think I've got all of your ones. Excellent, everyone. So I think that is it for questions at the moment. Any final comments or things to add from the panel?
Oh, one thing you can do, look in the chat, 3 dots, click on it, press save chat. You've already got the link straight away.
I will also send it as well. Yes, Steve?
I'll just do a shout out. We've got an event coming up on, I wrote it down, September 14th. So the second Tuesday of every month, I do a broadcast from the studio for schools all over the country. So it's a freebie for you, whether you're working from home or teaching face-to-face. We get a lot of schools up here who just throw it up on the smartboard for 45 minutes leading into morning tea, which is a really cool way to generate a bit of conversation with the kids. But we've got lots of schools who are just sharing that link and the event with their students when they're working from home. So we can have people tuning in from all over the place. So Street Science's Facebook page would have that up there. So dig that up. It'll be an event. Click on it and you'll get a reminder every time that comes up. September 14th, 10 a.m. See you there.
The next one. Oh, well, we'll definitely keep an eye out for that one. And I'll promote it through the Virtual Excursions Australia social media as well. And I guess just to finish off with, you know, some of the events that we do have coming up, you know, after we all recover from SciFest 2021, we'll be doing programs in October for Earth Science Week. We'll also have a program called ClickFest in November, which will be another opportunity for hopefully a lot of free content as well. And that will include the Youth Eco Summit that Danielle mentioned as well from Sydney Olympic Park. Did you want to add something about the Youth Eco Summit too, Danielle?
Yeah, thanks, Karen. There's a couple of things. So for Biodiversity Month, we are launching a virtual tour through the wetlands at Sydney Olympic Park. So students, again, I'll send Karen the details for that for teachers then to send out to the students, and there will be about 10 to 12 different stops along the way with videos, little science activities that the students can do from their home as well. And then coming up in November, there is the Youth Eco Summit. It is almost sold out for our with 1,300 students, but there are a lot more workshops taking place, including the NRMA's Future of Transport, and many others that will be part of ClickFest through Virtual Excursions Australia as well. So that's in November. Thanks, Karen.
Excellent. Okay, well, I will leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Hopefully, we've given you just a little bit of extra information to help you embed science into your lessons, either learning from home, teaching from home, and when you're back in the classroom. And I'd just like to thank all the panelists for joining me this afternoon and being part of SciFest 2021.